that this evening's meeting in person, that the meeting is being recorded, and that this room is equipped with microphones throughout that will pick up any talking. So please refrain from having sidebar discussions that you do not wish for the microphones to record. With that being said, I call the meeting of October 7th, 2024 to order at 6 p.m. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I call on Pastor Steve Starr for our invocation tonight.
You know, Council and Madam Mayor, any good pastor has a 3-point sermon before he prays. And I have one for you. First of all, let me thank you for what you do. I know in the position you're in, you probably don't get many thanks. A lot of people knowing what they think they know and telling you about it. So thank you for doing that. Secondly, thank you for letting me pray. I mean, when Councilman Elfers called and asked me to do this, I thought, wow, I like this. So thank you for that. The third thing is, I can't even remember because I'm retired. Lord God, thank you so much. Thank you for this council and what they do. Thank you for this community and what it is to those who live here and those who are here so often. You truly have blessed Sumner, and we are grateful for that. And Lord, as we go into this season of elections, oh my goodness, this last month, Lord, give us patience. Help us to be civil. Help us to be patient again and again and again. And Lord, may your will be done in these elections, and may this community be great. May this United States be great. And we just thank you for that chance. Bless those who are here, give insight as they make decisions, and we just give you honor and glory. Amen.
Thank you. Okay. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Botetto?
Here.
Bowman? Here. Thurgood?
Here.
Cole? Here. Elfers?
Here.
Rinky?
Here.
All present. So tonight we have a proclamation. It is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I will call on Andrea Marquez.
Thank you. I'm going to read the proclamation tonight declaring October Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and then I have some remarks, so bear with me. Whereas domestic violence is a confrontation between family members or intimate partners involving physical harm, harassment, sexual assault, threats of physical harm, and stalking. And whereas domestic violence is a crime that affects men, women, children, families, neighborhoods, and communities. And whereas on average 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men in the United States will experience domestic violence by an intimate partner during their lifetime. And whereas, according to the National Domestic Violence Hotline, the presence of a gun in the DV situation increases the risk of homicide for women by 500%, and more than half of women killed by gun violence in the United States are killed by family members or intimate partners. And whereas children who grow up in violent homes are likely to also be abused or neglected and are more prone to domestic violence as adults. And whereas the city helps support victims through its legal department and helps develop safety plans as well as prosecute crimes related to domestic violence to hold perpetrators accountable for their actions. And whereas the city of Sumner believes that our community, including every resident, should be a place of safety for all individuals. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the city of Sumner once again declares October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. It encourages all citizens to actively stand against domestic violence in our community, dated the 7th day of October 2024. So domestic violence is a terrible reality for those who experience it. Sumner's police and legal departments have a variety of domestic violence resources to help aid survivors through what can be a really complex, confusing, and intimidating process. First, anyone in Pierce County can apply for a protection order either online or by using the kiosk we have right here in the lobby of the police department in Sumner. This is a resource available to anyone at any time, even if crimes have never been reported to the police. The legal department employs a full-time paralegal who doubles as the city's domestic violence advocate. In that role, she assists survivors through every step of the process, from understanding what to expect in court, to preparing safety and financial plans, and helping connect folks with other vital resources like housing, therapy, family law services, and financial assistance. To demonstrate Sumner's commitment to addressing DV from all angles, in 2020, through the efforts of the police department and the legal department, Sumner went beyond state law and adopted a local crime called exposing a minor to domestic violence, which is its own separate gross misdemeanor charge if any DV crime is either seen or heard by a minor child. And we have prosecuted that crime many times in Sumner Municipal Court. There are a variety of resources and people who can help anyone experiencing domestic violence, and they are available to all members of the Sumner community. Please visit the city's website where we have an exclusive webpage dedicated to DV resources and more information. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. Okay, we move on to a presentation by the Sumner Bonnie Lake School District. I'm going to call on City Administrator Jason Wilson to introduce our guests.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm pleased to welcome Dr. Lori Dent with the Sumner Bonnie Lake School District. She's our superintendent, and she'll go ahead and introduce her staff, I'm sure, as well. Thank you, Lori.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you. I echo what Pastor Steve said. Great job, by the way. Thank you. We appreciate you as a school district. You are one of our strongest partners. And because of your partnership, we are a strong school district. So thank you. Before I start tonight and talk to you about something that's pretty exciting on the horizon for the school district, I want to introduce Dr. Tu Ament, our Deputy Superintendent, and Brian Shear, our Director of Safety and Security.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having us. Before we get started, we just came here to do a special recognition for the Sumner Police Department, and we have a certificate here on behalf of our board and our school district. And then Brian's just going to share a couple highlights, so if Chief could come on up. It just reads, in recognition of the Sumner Police Department for their support in keeping all staff, students, and community safe in the Sumner Bonnie Lake School District.
Yeah, thanks, Chief. Yeah.
Yep. Brian here is just going to mention a couple things. We've done a ton of work in the last 3 years from our safety task force that Sumner Police was also involved with, the Lahar drill. And he's just going to talk about a couple other highlights that's on the horizon with East Pierce County School Districts.
All right, thank you too. And yeah, Brad, thank you so much. Our collaboration with the city of Sumner has been absolutely amazing. And as you all know, the partnerships are what, it really is the glue between the school district and the city. And to highlight one of those partnerships is with the police department and your emergency manager, Evan Bruzitas. We, as Tu mentioned, we've been at planning our safety protocols for the last couple of years. Started with the task force 3 years ago. Brad was on that, Chief McCurdy was on it, and many others. And I think you're familiar with the EPIC committee, yes?
East Pierce Coalition.
Okay, yeah, it's East Pierce. It's a coalition that's 6 cities and 5 school districts. City of Sumner is one of those cities, and the school district is one of the school districts. And because of the work that we've been able to do together, the EPIC committee asked Sumner Bonnie Lake School District last year to present the safety protocols that were developed over the last year. And 2 weeks ago, they voted in this coalition to adopt across all those cities and across all the school districts the model that we worked very hard to put together. So really proud of that, and just want to come and share that with you, and thank you for the opportunity to be in front of you tonight. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks, Chief. Appreciate you.
She really is a partnership.
So I've been in this district, first of all, Mayor Hayden, Deputy Mayor Cole, council members, thank you again for letting us talk to you tonight about a subject I love. I could talk about our district all day, right? And after being in the district for 26 years, I can tell you I've seen a lot of growth, a lot of change, and we have change coming quickly that we want to make sure that you're informed about and that you have accurate information. Jason, oh yeah. I never know, you know, it's like, this is a very nice clicker though. It's very fancy.
I'll buy you one.
I might like take it. I would never do that, but it is nice. We want to talk about the future of the school district and the future of our students, because whether you're wearing pink on a Saturday, walking with all of our kids, passing out books at the Early Learning Center or reading, again, your partnership is what makes this one of the highest performing school districts in Washington State. Currently, we're ranked 17th out of 295. That's up from 20 last year. So people love this school district, they love this area, and a lot of that is because of your leadership. So thank you. Thank you for causing a problem for us, because these kids are coming, their families are coming, and we want to talk about how we want to be ready for their future for every student. And we always start with our promise in the Sumner Bonnie Lake School District, because this is the promise that we've made to every student, that they are known, valued, and supported. And part of that support is what I'm going to talk to you about tonight in terms of having safe, healthy buildings where they have space to learn. Because I can tell you that so many of our buildings are over capacity. They are all over each other. They're walking on each other's toes. So it's time for us to run a bond. And we're going for November 5th, the general election. And it's going to be a bond to expand our capacity, to improve some of our schools, and to upgrade some of our safety features that Brian mentioned briefly, but we're very proud of the work we're doing in school safety. I want to be clear tonight, though, that my purpose as a superintendent is to educate and inform. I am not here to tell you to vote yes or no, but simply to make sure that you have accurate information, because people are going to ask you about what's with this QR code that I see everywhere, or what's with this yard sign that I see that says, "Are you ready for the future?" We all shop in the same place, you can see that. But we're very proud of how this bond was put together and what it means for our kids. So we just want to make sure you have the right information. So when you're at Fred Meyer and people ask you about this, you can say, "Oh, I heard all about that. Here's what it's about." Or if you need information, here's where you can go. The great thing about this bond, and again, I've been here for 26 years and I've seen a lot of bonds come and go. This bond was made, the whole recommendation was formed by 31 people. And many of them are right here in the community, whether they're Sumner or Bonnie Lake. And these are people that they understand construction, architecture. They understand what it takes to build a building. And then they were partnered with educators, because we want to make sure that we're both speaking the same language and that we're both at the table for the purpose of really educating and building buildings for our kids. This was a great committee. They worked for over a year. And then prior to that year, we worked for a year and a half just conducting a needs assessment so that we were very careful with our analysis and what information was provided to the committee. And this committee had three things in mind. They wanted to build for the future. They wanted to create room for growth because they see the numbers just like you will. And they want to invest in the community, because if you haven't noticed, our buildings don't sleep. They are used 24/7 by community groups, churches, you name it, PTAs, PTOs. Every time you go by one of our buildings, it's being used by someone in the community. Our fields are constantly used. That's why we need to invest in turf fields. And this committee formed a package, gave it to the board, and it was approved. We need this bond now. Actually, we needed it about 3 years ago, but we definitely need it now. Our enrollment in the past 10 years has increased by 18%. We have more kids than we have ever had in this school district. That means, we have 30 classrooms full of elementary students, 10 classrooms of middle school students, and 15 classrooms of high school students. And that's just in the last 10 years, what we've seen in terms of an increase. And what this increase has done to our current capacity is that 9 out of those 14 buildings are over 100% capacity. 4 of the buildings are over 95% capacity, but if you look at Bonnie Lake High School at 129%, you're looking at 100% capacity, so that's a full building already. And then you add 29% more onto it, You have 9th through 12th grade and then a bonus class. I mean, that's the equivalent of an extra graduating class that's inside Bonnie Lake High School. And if you've been up there, you're gonna see kids in hallways, in these flex areas, in the cafeteria. I mean, they're basically learning wherever there's an open space. They are so full. Lake Ridge Middle School, 118%. 100% plus 18%, that's 4 extra classrooms of middle school kids at Lake Ridge. Now, middle school kids are incredible human beings, but 4 extra classes is a lot of them. If you look at Donald Eisman Elementary, 148%. That's a school and a half in one school. That's a lot of little explorers at Eisman exploring all over. This is a great problem to have because again, this is a testament to the leadership of our cities, to the leadership of our principals, to the talent of our teachers. Families love this school district and they're moving. And guess what? It's not getting any better. We're expected to grow by about 16% over the next 10 years. Now you hear about school districts all over the state that are closing schools, their enrollment is declining, they're losing funding, they've had to lay off teachers. That is not the case in Sumner Bonnie Lake. Our enrollment is increasing steadily. It came in strong this year again. We are not laying off teachers. We are financially very stable. We need space. We don't have enough room for our kids to learn. We also need to take care of some of the basics. Don't say this answer if you know it. This is the boiler at Sumner High School. Anybody want to take a guess of like when that boiler was built? You can guess. It doesn't matter if you're wrong. What do you think?
Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah. Oh, you're so close. 1967. Yeah, good for you. It was installed in 1969, and guess what? It's still there. So this is the boiler. Yeah, this is the boiler at Sumner High School. It needs to be replaced. The roof. If you go there on a rainy day, you're going to see trash cans in the hallway collecting water from the ceilings because you can only repair a roof so many times. And that building, as many incredible things as those students do, and the heart of service that they have, their building is old and it needs to be replaced. Sumner High School gym. That is a 2A gym for a 4A school. And it's not ADA compliant, which is absolutely, in my mind, unacceptable. We should be able to get wheelchairs in and out of that gym easily. We need to increase our safety access to all of our buildings, all of our schools. And in case we ever do get an earthquake, we need to make sure that all of our buildings are retrofitted for all the seismic upgrades. This is what is super exciting. These are like post-graduation options for kids to explore and for classes for them to take. If you look at my left-hand side, that's an anatomage table. And when I was in high school, that's how old I am. Like we used to dissect frogs, maybe a pig if you were lucky. Jason's like, Lori, where are you going with this?
What are you dissecting?
They can dissect a human body. It's like a 3D cadaver. They can just tear it apart virtually. And what they're learning prepares them for jobs in the health field because that's one of the highest demand fields we have right now in the market. But the classes they're learning, our culinary programs, nationally recognized. We have more kids that want to take that class that can because we don't have space. And this young lady at the end, she's in our Core Plus Aerospace Manufacturing class. It's a class that we partner with Boeing. We had 18 kids graduate last year with full-time jobs. $25 an hour, tuition reimbursement, full benefits. Their parents love it because they have jobs. Because we know that every child has a unique and individual future. And for every student, we want to make sure that that future happens. Whether they're going to go to college, they're going to go to Boeing, whether they're going to go in the health field. But I'll tell you right now, we can't expand these opportunities at all because we don't have space. And I'm telling you, kids would go to these classes, but they can't. We also know that running this bond right now will save money in the long run. You might remember that we tried to run a bond in 2020, failed miserably. It was 175 million. In today's cost, it would be 433 million. So we know that the costs are only going to go up. So here's what's in the bond. You're going to notice, first of all, that it touches all parts of the district, from Daffodil to Donald Eisman, almost every place in between. Sumner High School, this would be the full build-out of the master plan. You're all already very familiar with Phase 1, the building with the Spartan on it. And then this is the master plan that includes a new PAC, a new pool, a new gym, new turf fields so that our kids can use them year-round. They're also way safer, if you've ever played on a turf field, way safer for kids. Increased parking, which I'm sure you love hearing. And it's going to be a great place for kids to learn. Classrooms are on the west. Most of our performing arts, music, all of the performing arts are on the east. It's going to be something else. It's funny because here's actually, if you're familiar with Sumner High School, here's the age and condition of some of the different parts. The pool was built in 1969. Got a hallway there from 1954. They've been updated so many times. We call this the Frankenstein building because it's been touched and worked on so many times. But we always think that this is interesting for people to see just how old that building is. Daffodil Valley is slated to get a new turf lighted field. Right now, our little Dolphins can't use their field because it's being used for the girls' Sumner High School fast pitch team. When we built Phase 1, their field went away. So we needed to make sure that they had a field to play on, and it happened to be a Daffodil. So once we can get that turf lighted field installed, if we pass a bond, the little Dolphins will get to play and have recess on a beautiful turf field. Bonnie Lake High School, plan on expanding that campus by at least 10, maybe 12 classrooms, kind of a daylight basement feature where they're going to build down, because if you're familiar with that campus, it's quite tight. Turf fields for baseball and fast pitch. And also going to do some modifications to the front because nobody knows where the front of Bonnie Lake High School is. So this would definitely give it a front-facing view. New middle school into Hawley. Our middle school kids they're walking on each other's toes. They are, especially at Mountain View and Lake Ridge. If you're familiar with where Donald Eisman is, we're planning to build a new middle school directly south. It's being built on 19 acres that we're in the process of purchasing right now with cash. And we're excited about that because it's at today's price. People always think that we're given land by developers. I wish. Not true. So we're buying that for about $15 million. It's going to have a turf football field, fast pitch, baseball, great parking, great traffic queuing, access in and out, and we're going to build it for around 1,000 kids because we know that there's going to be a lot of growth in that area. Holly Heights Elementary, we plan on expanding that, at least 8, perhaps 10, depending on the site, more additional classrooms. We just put 8 portables on that beautiful campus. I don't know, I think that school's not even 5 or 6 years old yet. Those portables cost us $2 million. They're not cheap. Donald Eisman, new field, turf field. If you go on their field after it rains, you'll sink, literally, because I've been on that field and tried to get out of it because the drainage is so bad. The plan is to put a turf field with lights and then fix their queuing and parking issue because if you've been up there, 7-Eleven and Wendy's have, well, there's a lot of cars over there now, so they need some help. And then Liberty Ridge and Crestwood, they are sister schools that are, they're ready for their 30-year improvement. They need some basic improvements, but they also need some safety upgrades. So they're ready. And then clean energy, I'm sure everyone's going through this right now, but this is a mandate from the state. But we also know that when we can do that district-wide conversion, save money on our energy costs, that money that we save can go back into classrooms. So let's talk about cost. We heard loud and clear from our school board that they did not want taxpayers to experience huge spikes in their tax rate, which very sensitive to. So we looked at the last 5 years, and the average tax rate was $4.64 per thousand. What they're predicting for the next 5 years, the average is $4.63 per thousand. What our school board did not want is like a tax rate of $8, then $3. Then I'm making this up, right? But they wanted a stable average tax rate that taxpayers are used to seeing. So what that looks like is if your home is assessed at $500,000, you're looking at about $29 more per month than you pay now. So about $1 a day. If your home is assessed at $700,000, you're looking at about $41 a month. Bonds require 60% approval in order to pass. We just successfully passed 2 levies at over 60%, which gave us great confidence that our community believes in our schools and our teachers and our administrators and what we're doing as a school district. So this is what we're shooting for. So appreciate the help of our citizens group led by Bill Pugh, who they're getting out a different message to voters, but our common message is that we need 60% in order to pass. And this is a general election, so we're not worried about voter turnout necessarily. It's just how people vote. So my ask of you is don't forget to vote. Once you get your ballot, and if you need more information, you know where we live, and you're welcome anytime. But don't forget to vote. Encourage your neighbors and your friends to vote. Register to vote if you haven't done that. And again, if you need information, additional information, people can click on the QR code. We have no shame. We'll wear the QR code, or they can visit our website. And you see these signs all around Sumner, and you can click on that as well. But just appreciate your time. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for your partnership. Happy to take a couple questions. And then if you have additional questions, again, we're just down the street and around the corner and down another street, but
Any questions for Dr. Dent?
always happy to answer.
Andy? You good? Any questions? Barbara?
Your Highness.
So, can you tell us about your graduation rate and
Yeah.
how you are trying to achieve 100%?
Right, so with that promise to know, value, and support comes a promise that all of our kids graduate with a promising future. And all for us means all. Every kid, 100% of them. We don't want to leave one kid off that graduation stage. And we are still hanging steady, like in those low 90s. You know, it's kind of like losing those last 5 pounds, right? It's like every little thing counts. And we have incredible staff that are creating great programs for kids to get connected with, so they feel welcome, they feel, you know, a sense of belonging, safety. But since I started, I think when I started, our graduation rate was about 86%. So we're growing that. I mean, we're in the low 90s, so anywhere between 90 and 93%. We're graduating more kids. And we know our kids come back to this community. I mean, we hire them in this school district, so they love this place. Yeah. Thanks, Barb.
Anybody else? Very good. Go ahead, Andy.
Hey, Dr. Dent, thank
Yeah.
you for the presentation. I really appreciate it. I just was curious if you, just in a quick summary, like, so you said in 2020 you guys went through and it failed.
Yeah.
Can you just give me like what are some things that, besides the cost going up, what are some lessons learned, some things that changed? Is there a way to give a short answer on that?
Sure, because I thought about it a lot. In 2020, we ran a bond to solve a problem, and it was really a very limited bond. We wanted to finish out Sumner High School, and it didn't have enough on the package for the entire district. So people looked at it and they thought, oh, you want me to vote for this when there is basically one big project and a little project. So not enough for everyone. The other thing is we ran it in conjunction with a levy. And it really forced a choice for some people. Were they gonna vote for the bond, or were they gonna vote for the levy? And they voted for the levy, thank goodness. Would have been great if they voted for the bond, but now in retrospect, this bond package is much more inclusive. It touches all parts of the district, especially to reduce the overcrowding in our classes. We think this is a better bond because it does touch all parts of the district instead of just one main part. Yeah.
Thank you for the presentation and all you do for our kids. We
Likewise,
appreciate
thank you.
Guys.
I'm putting the clicker back. You know.
Okay. We will move on to the consent agenda. Will the clerk please read the consent agenda?
1, approval of the meeting minutes from September 16th, 2024, regular council meeting and special study session, and September 18th, 2024, special study session. 2, resolution number 1701, pretrial reform task force grant acceptance.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Cole, would you like to make a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Yes, I move to adopt the consent agenda of October 7th, 2024.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councilmember Potato. Been moved and seconded. Would any council member wish to remove an item off our consent agenda? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed? Passed unanimously. All right, we have no public hearing tonight. And regular business, we have no regular business. We move on to public comment. Maria, will you please read the rules for public comment?
The public comment period is your opportunity to speak to the council and mayor on issues that are not on the agenda. As the clerk calls your name and address, please approach the podium. You will have 3 minutes. As a reminder, this portion of the meeting is the council's opportunity to hear from the community and not a time to engage in debate. The council will not be answering questions, and you may be directed to a staff member.
Thank you. Jeff, do we have any online? Any online like to speak? Make a comment? Seeing none? Is there anyone participating by Zoom who would like to make a comment? And Maria, did anybody sign up for public comment?
No.
Is there anybody out there that would like to make a public comment? Well, you guys are making it easy tonight. Okay, moving on, new business. Now we are on to ordinance number 2897, amending the 2023-2024 biennial budget. Councilmember Potato, would you like to make a motion?
I make a motion to adopt ordinance number 2897, amending the 2023-2024 biennial budget.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
By Councilmember Elfers. I call on Chief Financial Officer Cassandra Raymond.
Good evening, everyone. So this evening before you is ordinance 2897. We are going to be talking about the current budget. So a little bit of a departure from our recent conversations. So our 2023-2024 biennial budget was adopted in December of 2022. We come to council on a quarterly basis to provide a request for budget amendments. These amendments provide our city council with a timely and transparent view of our current budget needs, and it gives our staff the opportunity to review changes, revisit and revise forecasts, and make any programmatic changes that have come up. These budget amendments come to you at the fund level, but they are reviewed in detail at the line item level by our Finance and Personnel Committee, so I thank the members for that. I know it gets a little bit down, maybe a little bit tedious sometimes, but this really is an integral part of our overall financial management process to keep these budget changes timely and before council. So this evening, our amendment at a glance, this is our third quarter. We'll be recognizing additional transfer ins of $91,000, expenditures of $110,000, and transfers out again of $91,000. So we have total revenues or sources of $91,000 and a total expenses of $201,000. And we'll take a look at what's happening in each of our funds. In our special revenue funds, so let me go back to, I'm missing a slide for the general fund. That's okay, I can do that one. So in the general fund, we will be recognizing a transfer out of $41,000. That is a transfer out to our cemetery operating fund. That's for acquisition of a workman. We're accelerating that replacement to 2024 because we have a piece of equipment that has failed. Additionally, the expenditure that we see in the general fund, that's $100,000 in our development services department. That's for specialized building and plan review fees. In our special revenue funds, in Fund 106, this is our occupancy tax. City Council discussed a proposal in September for $75,000 for a Main Street tree replacement program. This is to appropriate that funding. And then in Fund 115, this is our ARPA fund. We initially had funding that was allocated towards cybersecurity. We did not use all of that funding. And so what we're asking is to reappropriate $50,000 of that, transfer that out to Fund 310, which is our Parks Capital Fund, for additional design costs at Heritage Park. And that falls in line with the requirements of the ARPA funding. In Fund 310, Parks Capital, we'll be recognizing that transfer in from the ARPA fund and then programming the partner expense to that. In Fund 402, this is our sewer fund. We had originally programmed $156,000 in our treatment plant operations. This was for digester cleaner maintenance. We put this out to bid. We didn't get any bids. We rebid it and did receive an appropriate bid, but that project won't begin until January of 2025. So we are reducing the 2024 budget by that amount, and that $156,000 has been added to the 2025 budget request. And then in Fund 410, this is our cemetery operations. That revenue is the transfer in from the general fund to fund the acquisition of that workman. And so the expense is the actual acquisition of that piece of equipment. And there is our third quarter 2023-24 budget amendment. The next time you see me for the 23-24 will be a final budget amendment in December. I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right. Any questions for Cassandra? No, very good. Councilmember
I
Alfers.
have to have a question on this. Say, so there's additional $100,000 in expenses. Can you just clarify if any of that is coming from grants or things like that?
So that $100,000, are you talking about in the general fund?
I am.
Okay, so in the general fund, we've asked for $100,000, and that's to offset additional third-party expenses that we incur when we are doing specialized plan review or inspections. That's offset some by fund balance, but we recoup a good portion of that through our development services fees.
It was also actually the street trees is not general fund, but isn't that recovered by some other funding as well?
So the street trees, that's in Fund 106. That's our occupancy tax fund. We get a portion of occupancy tax that's paid by lodging, and the portion that we get is allocated out and recommended by our LTAC committee.
Anybody else? Anybody from the audience like to make a comment or speak on this?
I'll ask a question.
Okay.
Cassandra, what's a workman?
Mr. Barry. So a workman is a John Deere tractor. It is used for a variety of tasks out at the cemetery. And for additional specifications on that, I'm going to defer to Mr. Barry.
You want more info? Okay. So it's basically their, sorry, Derek Barry, Community Services Manager. It's basically their workhorse. It's what they use all day, every day. They'll haul off dirt for services. They'll move material around all the time. When we had crapped out.
Yeah.
Technical term.
Layman's terms, I like it.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Any other questions?
Reserved for the sewer utility.
Okay, seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
We want him to be able to move back there.
Potato,
Yes.
Bowman,
Yes.
Cleargood,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Elfers,
Yes.
Ranky,
Yes.
Thank you. Passes unanimous. Okay, we move on to ordinance number 2898, amending city parks, trails, and facilities. Councilmember Bowman, would you make a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 2898, amending the Sumner Municipal Code 12.60 city parks, trails, and facilities.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right. I call on Derek Berry for Community Services Manager. There you go.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Before you tonight is ordinance 2898, amending the code for the city parks and facilities. From time to time, we update our code when we have needs. The intent of this update is to clarify rules related to the public use of our facilities and to change hours for the Rainier View Covered Court that will be opening sometime soon. This was presented to the Forestry and Parks Commission, where they recommended it come to full council. It was also taken to the CD committee last month. So if you are interested, I can go through briefly what was updated. For the City Hall section, we've added some wording so that the use of City Hall is for any purpose that does not otherwise violate state or local rules or regulations, and then it may be granted, not shall. Under wastewater treatment plant, similar verbiage change of shall to may, and once again, for public's use. Same thing can be done for the city shops. What started this whole update to the ordinance was the need to look at Rainier View the Rainier View Park Covered Court. Our current hours were 8 a.m. to sunset. We obviously built this with LED lighting so that the community can enjoy it after sunset. So what we're asking tonight is that you allow the use to go to 9 p.m. Do you have any questions on this?
Any questions? Mr. Elford?
I have to have a question. Yeah, is there any kind of sound ordinance in Sumner that you're aware of?
No, nothing that this would violate, no.
Isn't it 10 o'clock?
Yeah, I'm sorry, yes. So there is one, 10 o'clock is what we actually have, like the sports complex. It's a 10 p.m. hard shut down for the lighting and everything else. We wanted to do 9 p.m. It's a new element to the neighborhood. We didn't want to push it to 10. That's the direction we got from Forestry Parks.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody in the audience? All right, seeing none. Maria, would you call the roll?
Potato,
Yes.
Bowman,
Yes.
Clairjet,
Yes.
Cole. Yes. Alford,
Yes.
Ranky.
Yes.
Thank you. Passes unanimous. Okay, so now we are moving on to ordinance number 2895, amending Sumner Municipal Code pretreatment. And I will call on Councilmember Clerget. Would you like to make a motion?
I'd like to approve the ordinance number 2895, amending Sumner Municipal Code pretreatment regulations.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second that.
Thank you. And I call on pretreatment coordinator Andrea Hannigan.
Hi. Well, good evening, and thank you so much for your time this evening. I'm gonna just make sure my clicker works. Yes, it's a really nice clicker. I'm here to talk about the proposed changes to the recently adopted pretreatment regulations. Since 2022, I've been keeping the council updated on our progress towards taking over the pretreatment program from the state of Washington, which was a requirement included in the reissuance of our wastewater treatment facilities and NPDES permit in 2021. We've made significant strides in developing the program, meeting all key milestones along the way. In May, we adopted Ordinance 2839, which incorporated federally compliant pretreatment regulations into Sumner Municipal Code. I'm very happy to report that in June of this year, we submitted the final package of program materials and formally requested delegation of the program. If you look at the roadmap, we are here in the, which one should I point it at? Oh, well, there's a nice red marker there. That's the "You Are Here" sign. We're at the revisions and update stage, responding to feedback from the Department of Ecology, Most of the proposed changes are a result of Ecology's comments to our submittal package. You'll find a summary of the 18 proposed changes in your packet that I provided. This slide highlights the 5 key changes that we're making. First, we're adding 5 definitions that weren't explicitly included before. Initially, we referenced the WAC for these terms, but Ecology requested that we define them directly in code. Next, Ecology asked us to add the word terminate to this section of code to ensure consistency with both state and federal pretreatment regulations. We removed the draft status from our local limits table and also removed aluminum as a pollutant of concern. We changed a form name, changed the non-domestic wastewater survey to non-domestic screening form. It appears a lot in code. You have all the references there, so that's why we're bringing it up here. And we made that change to more clearly describe its purpose and usage. And finally, we've corrected a few minor typos that were noticed by staff and our code publisher. And so with that update, I'll open it up to questions.
Any questions for Andrea on retreatment? Oh, seeing none, any questions from the audience? Mr. Bierman,
Can you explain why?
you want to get up here and,
Okay, so Nick Bierman, 5802 Parker Road East. Can you explain why aluminum was removed from the list of pollutants? That's all.
Yeah. Originally, we had added it because we hadn't received good guidance from the Department of Ecology on whether or not that was going to be a pollutant that we were going to need to monitor for, whether or not it met the definition of a pollutant of concern. So we had it up there pending and waiting for feedback. We did get the feedback we needed, and after reviewing the calculations, we don't need to have we don't need to monitor aluminum as a pollutant of concern, or we're establishing stricter limits for these pollutants than what the state or federal requirement is. So we are able to just apply state and federal effluent standards for aluminum. We don't have to make one that's a little bit more strict to allow us to comply with our permit for aluminum. Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah.
thank you.
Great.
Anybody else? Anybody else? Do you have a comment? Okay. All right. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Botetto,
Yes.
Bowman,
Yes.
Clerget,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Elfers,
Yes.
Ranky.
Yes.
All right, passes unanimous.
Thank you.
That's a big deal.
All right, so we are going to do council comments and then go into executive session. So I will call on Barbara Botetto if you have comments. Instead of doing it at the end, we will do it now.
Yeah, I just
No?
wanted to remind everybody that be sure you are registered to vote, and if you aren't, go to piercecountywa.gov, and you can do it online or mail in the form. And November 5th is the deadline, and you have until 8 o'clock that evening to get into Tacoma and register at the elections office. So, and then be sure you drop off your ballots. Apparently it's a long ballot, so turn it over so you get everything on there. And, or else you can drop your ballots off at the library. And I just wanted to comment a bit about the staff that we have here at the city. We've been going through the budget, and I've been really impressed with the amount of passion that each department has about their work, especially Public Works. Like, yeah, they really are the people that guide us, with our decisions, and, we trust them to give us the right information, and we don't just, easily pass things. So a lot of those decisions are made in committee meetings, so I just want you to know that we really should appreciate our staff as much as anything, so thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Bowman.
Sure. So I would say to Dr. Dent, thank you for that presentation. I had the pleasure, thanks to Barb, that I got to participate in an event with Mary Lee here and at the high school. And many of the issues that you said the schools have, the kids had already told us all of this. I mean, they can tell you where the leaks are at, where they don't have any room, where they're learning at. So it's really true. I mean, it's a lot of compassion that you have when you were talking it. I myself found a lot of compassion after working in this program for just one day. So I hope everybody does get out there and pass the bond. It is truly needed. The other thing I would say is I agree with Barb, which doesn't happen often. I'm just so thrilled tonight. But she's right. The staff, it's amazing what the staff here at the city do. And to her point, we've probably seen or talked things at least 6 to 8 times before it ever comes up here. So always people think that if people think this is the first time we're seeing anything, if we're doing our job, it's not. We have seen it, we've asked questions about it, and the staff is always available to us to do that. So really find value there in a great, great way. The other thing I would just say is Mr. Steffens and I, we participate on the Rainier Communication Commission, and there's an interlocal agreement, and the Pierce County TV, that runs all of this, is just a great community of people that really have a passion for getting these city council meetings out and public TV. So they have some bylaws that they've been updating, and we're reviewing them, and Jeff sent a note to them. We looked at them, and we have no issues with them, the city of Sumner, at this point in time. So we'll keep people abreast of that, but right now we're in a good space. The other thing they talked about in the meeting was the cost of doing business and how expensive it is and how they're really feeling the pinch to be able to do it. So there will probably be more on that in the future that'll be coming out. So I'd just like to share that. And then the final thing is our vacancy on the council. I had the opportunity I've talked with one individual that's applied, and another individual wanted to make sure that I knew he applied. So far, I don't know if there's any more, but we have some great people in the community that are reaching out to apply. So I think it's going to be a pretty fun and exciting time to finally get to see who all applies and get to interview up here. So I look forward to that soon. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Clerget.
Yeah, I too would like to thank the school district for coming in and also make sure everybody votes and thank the staff also. That's all.
Short but sweet. Deputy Mayor Cole.
So I got to piggyback on the school district because, like with Councilmember Bowman, I had an opportunity to attend the high school summit, and I was hooked. So then, just a little bit more than a week ago, I had a chance to listen to a kindergarten class be read to. It was part of the Imagination Library program, and that was fantastic. So I really love what's going on in the school district, and I'm looking forward to other programs. So that and something that's near and dear to my heart, which is Sound Transit, the Sounder train. I just happened to be sitting last week in a spot, and I was running my mouth as usual, and the project manager was right there. So one of the things that's missing from all of the stations are time clocks, or just clocks, period. And I've been really annoyed about it, and so I happened to be talking about it, and there he was, and he explained that it was coming in a few weeks, so something to look forward to for all you commuters. That's it for me.
Councilmember Elfers.
Yeah, I just have a couple of things. Number one, I just wanted to say we are doing a lot of meetings, as mentioned, about budget. So I'm kind of, I feel like it's been the first year for me up here. So I feel like there's a lot of meetings in general, and specifically. But I really want to appreciate just the collaborative nature of the people on the council. I really appreciate the discussions and the questions, and I think that's great. And in that vein, I just want to echo what Councilmember Bowman mentioned, is that we do have a new position. It looks like it closes tomorrow. So I think tomorrow is the day the application closes. I really always want to encourage people to be involved and to put their name in and just try to get involved. If not for the council, for a committee or something, we really need community involvement, and we really need to hear your voice, and so I want to just encourage that. I also want to thank the school district for coming and sharing that. I really appreciate what you do, and we really important part of the community. So thank you so much, and we hope that everyone, we get out to vote for all the things that are on the ballot. There's a lot of stuff going on this next month. So, and then we had the monthly Pierce County Regional Council meeting. Let's give a quick update on that. There was several speakers. We did the fluffy one was the orcas. We talked about orcas in the Puget Sound, which was really interesting. I didn't know a lot about that, but apparently there's 2 different types of orcas. Anyways, that's not significant. It's more than entertaining. But the legislative agenda, that they talked about that a little bit coming up for the next state legislature session. They're going to talk about growth management, emphasize that, transportation, and fiscal sustainability. I think those are 3 issues that are really top of mind for people. We heard from Bryn Brady on that, and then Deanna Killer from the Port of Tacoma came and spoke and really talked about some opportunities there are at the port to go and see the port. There's a couple of tours you can go once a year. There's a boat tour, and then there was an event. I think it might have already missed it. It was pretty. Didn't write the date down, but anyways, there's a couple of events. It made me really want to go to the port. It's a really fantastic resource in our area. I think the success of the area really is in large part because of our proximity to the port. So, anyways, great meeting and really helpful to learn about the region. And that's all I have.
All right, Councilmember Ranky.
I might as well. I'd like to say thank you to the school district also, Dr. Dent and Mr. Shearer. I've known Mr. Shearer for a while. Many of you know I've been in town 42 years, so going on 43. Raised 3 kids, all went to summer schools, Maple Lawn, middle school, and high school. All went to college, got good jobs. My daughter actually became a kindergarten teacher, not in Sumner, somewhere else. They're all married, have kids, and doing great. So the school district was awesome. I was well involved in it at the time. I was on the fire department 35 years. So I did a lot with the school district. And I can't say enough about the school district, and I encourage everybody to vote. I've supported the bonds and levies for 42 years. So, and this is coming from a graduate of Curtis High School. So it's a UP boy. So kind of changed my ways. On that same vein, I guess just a PSA on schools, since we're talking about it. I live very close to the high school, within 2 blocks. Summertime's great. When summer's over, it's Indy 500 at my intersection there, Bonnie Academy. And just, encouraging people to slow down. Mornings are darker, fog, rain, all that stuff. And I sit there every morning at 7:15 and just bite my tongue. But one of the things that's shocking, you think it's the kids that are doing it, but these parents are all driving these kids to school frantically late, running the stop signs, honking. I mean, it's 7:15 to 7:35 and then 2:20 to 2:40. So just forewarning everybody, maybe slow down and take it easy. We don't need to have any incidences there we had over the years, but just appreciate the school district and just give that a little shout out for the high school area and try to keep everybody safe. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. City Administrator Jason Wilson.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Coming up next week at your study session, we'll be continuing our budget discussions. We'll be starting off with a discussion regarding the 2025 property tax rate. Then we'll go into some miscellaneous funds, including REIT, debt service, ARPA, building reserves, impact fees, LAD guarantee, and several other lesser-known funds. On October 16th, which is a Wednesday at 2 p.m., we'll be kicking off the 2024 Comprehensive Plan Update Review by Council. That means expected to last approximately 3 hours, and you'll be reviewing 10 of the 18 elements. The following week, October 21st, at the regular council meeting, you'll be holding a public hearing related to the 2025 property tax ad valorem rate, and then considering a climate planning contract award, the Stewart Road Bridge Construction Management Consultant Agreement, the Washington Street Reconstruction Design Consultant Agreement, the Stewart Road Bridge PSC easement acquisition, the long-awaited, almost 30 years, contract award to reconstruct Stewart Road Bridge. We'll be considering that day, so that's exciting. An ordinance adopting the 2025 compensation schedule and an ordinance amending the personnel policies. But that's not it. You also have a special study session that night immediately following, where you'll be discussing the 2025 utility rates and some changes to utility billing. On the commission front, the planning commission was busy this last week. They held a public hearing and they made a recommendation on 4 separate code amendments. The first code amendment related to battery energy storage systems, which would limit the location to our industrial zones and require a conditional use permit. The second amendment incorporated a new state law pertaining to permit timelines. And the third amendment also incorporated a new state law, but this one pertains to commercial redevelopment for housing. Lastly, there was a code amendment for our essential public facilities code related to group homes and adult family homes, requiring them to be licensed through the state before they can operate within our city. As some of you mentioned tonight, we do have a council vacancy. That position is available for application through tomorrow at 5 p.m. More information can be found on our website. And lastly, I'd like to remind everybody that we are holding our fall open house on Tuesday, October 22nd from 5 to 7 p.m. here in this room. And I'm happy to answer any questions the council has.
Any questions? Any questions? Greg? No?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, it's hard to have any more comments after all of these guys. So we will be going into executive session. It'll last 25 minutes. It is RCW 42.30.1101II and RCW 42.30.140 4A. We expect it to last about 25 minutes and there will be no action to follow. I will adjourn this meeting after that.
We need to change our public safety meeting.
Oh, you need to change your public
Yeah.
safety meeting?
Public safety meeting will be on October 16th, starting at 5 p.m. after the study session.
All right. Thank you.